All right, we have a slightly more complicated than usual uniform circular motion problem because I have two masses tied together and these are being swung around. So you can imagine just tying two rocks to a string, one in the middle, and then whirling it around. I'm going to call the first mass M1 just to make it easy to refer to later, and the second one M2. And I wanted to do, let's see if I can just, I'm going to extract some information here from the paragraph. And I'm going to go ahead and call this R1 to make it easy to refer to later, and this will be R2. I think that's about everything. And I'm going to put a little reminder here about centripetal acceleration. Looks like it's all one word. I guess we'll just keep it. So centripetal acceleration. And so if I observe an object moving on a path, a circular path of radius r with a speed of v, it is a geometric fact that it must be accelerating to the center of curvature with a magnitude of v squared over r. That's the formula I remember the easiest. But in this case, we're given the period, and I know that I can rework this formula in terms of period. So what I do is I say the speed v is just distance divided by time, and it moves the distance of 2 pi r, the circumference, every time one period goes by. So you may just memorize this formula. I like to rederive it and just keep my list of memorized formulas to a minimum, so I keep v squared over r. So I end up with a 4 pi squared r squared over t squared when I square that, and then there was an r in the denominator. One of those cancels, and I get my new formula, 4 pi squared r over t squared. That's going to be useful for this problem because we're given t instead of v. All right, so then I can get into my force analysis, and if I just think qualitatively for a moment, I have definitely a force pointing to the center of curvature on each of these masses. Otherwise, their acceleration wouldn't be pointing to the center of curvature. So there has to be a net force on each of them pointing to the center. I'm going to get this in real quick. T2 is pulling M2 towards the center of curvature. That's the only force on M2, and that is going to produce this acceleration. M1 is a little more complicated because it has T2 pulling to the right and T1 pulling to the left, and I'm going to do this correctly qualitatively. I made T1 longer than T2 because I know the net force must point to the center of curvature. One last thing before we start really getting into the Newton's second law analysis is that for each of these masses, the acceleration points to the center of curvature, and I'm going to call that the positive direction for the analysis. So setting up a coordinate system where A is positive is usually just the easiest thing to do. All right, so even though this is M2, it's the first one I'm going to start with because it's a simpler case. So my M2 analysis, I apply Newton's second law. And the net force on it, there's only one of them. That's nice. And then my acceleration, well, it's 4 pi squared times the radius of curvature, which I called R2 here. That's going to be 2 meters when we plug it in, divided by t squared. So that's our period squared. Don't confuse the period t with the tension t's. All right, I'm just ready to plug into my calculator at this point. So this is a 1 kilogram mass. And then I have a 4 pi squared. Radius of curvature was 2 meters. Period of rotation was 2 seconds. And I can smash that in my calculator. Before I do that, I want to look at the units real quick. I have meters up here, squared seconds in the denominator. That's meters per second squared. That's units of acceleration as it should be, multiplied by units of mass. That gives me units of force. So this looks good. When I smash these numbers, I get 19.7 newtons. Let me just make a little more room real quick. So I get 19.7 newtons. So we found one. All right, then we go into the analysis of M1. And again, it's just Newton's second law, F net equals ma. And here I have two different forces, one pulling toward the center of curvature and one away. Remember, toward the center of curvature we decided would be the positive direction. So I have T1 minus T2 is equal to m1 times the acceleration, which is 4 pi squared times r1 over t squared. And so T1, if I solve it symbolically, it's going to be T2 plus m1 times 4 pi squared r1 over t squared. And then I can plug in the numbers, and I already have T2, 19.7 newtons. M1 is 1 kilogram. 4 pi squared times r1, which is 1 meter, all squared, divided by the period squared, so 2 seconds, all squared. When I smash these numbers into the calculator, I get 29.6 newtons. And we're done.